To Chris Garcia, the conservative American. Thank you so much for joining me today on this fabulous Thursday in downtown Las Vegas. I want to join everybody all over the country to listen to me stream live on radiotribune.com. And once again, I come to you Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I just want to talk to you about, as usual, what's going on in the country. And one of the first things I want to talk to you about is who's going to be the new FBI director. I think that there's no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump wants to get someone named before he goes on that trip overseas. I don't think he wants to leave things as they are right now and not have an FBI director. I think that it would be a lot of controversy and make him look really bad on his trip as he visits some of the leaders in some of these countries for the first time ever. I think he wants to look like he is a good decisions maker, that he has things unified, and that he has loyalty of the people behind him and the people in his administration. I think that's very important for Donald Trump. The name that keeps popping up right now is Joseph Lieberman. That's an interesting choice. And I think one of the main reasons why he's thinking about Joe Lieberman is that he is an old guard. He is a very strong political figure. I think it impressed Donald Trump and a lot of people, if you remember when Joe Lieberman was running for office a few years ago, and he left the Democratic Party, and everybody thought he was going to go Republican because he had a lot of Republican friends and got along with a lot of the Republicans in the Senate. Instead, he ran as an independent, and he still won. And I think Donald Trump likes people like that. I think he likes people that are independent of both parties, that have friends on both sides, that are kind of renegades in their own way and make their own decisions. And I think that's one of the reasons that he's looking at Joe Lieberman being the FBI director. I personally think it's because of this. I have said it from day one. Donald Trump needs friends. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money that you have. I don't care what the situation is. You cannot be in this world by yourself. I discussed months ago, even before Donald Trump became president, when he was even talking about running, and then when he won the primary and then was running against Hillary in the general, he won the general and became president. I said there is a big difference between New York City and Washington, D.C. And I think that that's something that he is learning. It is a huge difference. He's used to being CEO. He's used to running his company by himself and being able to hire and fire people as will. Well, you're not hiring and firing people in Washington, D.C. These are people that get elected by their constituents from their own cities and their own states and their own districts. And they're not put in their position by you, nor can you fire them. So you're sort of forced in a way to make friends with them, to be friends with them. And these are people that don't have to answer to you. People don't understand, really in a lot of ways, how powerless the position of president is. And it wasn't until a few years ago, really, when George Bush decided to pass a lot of laws, new laws, giving the president executive powers that they had never had before. Of course, after 9/11, he used that opportunity to give the presidency new powers and have the power of the executive pen. And they could just pass bills, that they could never do before. That's what makes so great about presidents like Kennedy and Reagan. That had to get things done, back in the day when the president didn't have those executive powers. And there were certain executive powers that the president always had. But after 9/11, so many new bills were pushed through with the Patriot Act and gave the president so many more decision-making abilities that they had never had before. So now, yes, you can use the executive branch to pass things like Barack Obama did with Obamacare. But Trump is old school. And he wants people to think, at least, that he's reaching across the aisle and working with other people, that he's not Barack Obama, that he's not just going to use the executive pen to push through his agenda, that he knows that he did not come into office definitely with a mandate. It was a very close election, and he knows that if he's going to win again, those independents are going to be very important with him getting reelected. Those Reagan Democrats in Michigan and Wisconsin and Indiana and Minnesota and Pennsylvania, it's going to be very important that he wins those states again and carries the states that he carried in the last general election. So he wants to make it seem like he is reaching across the aisle and trying to work with other people in the Democratic Party and the independent parties. So Joseph Lieberman, I believe, would be a good pick because He gets along with a lot of people from across the aisle. He has a lot of experience. He has a lot of friends in Washington, D.C., and I think that that's going to be very important going forward. There are people leaking information on our president. He doesn't know who he is. He might have ideas about who it is. He might have ideas that maybe Barack Obama has some friends that are still inside the White House or inside the Senate or the House that can get things done, like listening in on his conversations and exposing it and giving it to the liberal press right there at the Washington Post and the New York Times. And certainly after you've been president for 8 years, like Barack Obama was, you make a lot of friends, hundreds of friends, thousands of friends. And when you leave, you have a short term. But a lot of those people that have political positions in Washington, those are lifetime terms. Even if you're a sitting senator, and you might be on your second, third, fourth term, and no doubt about it, when your time comes up, you're going to be reelected again. So those people are lifers, like Harry Reid, like John McCain, like Joseph Lieberman, like John Kerry. They're going to be there for years and years and years. They're going to see your presidency and work with the next president that comes in. So, like I was talking about earlier, on Face the Tribune, I think Barack Obama made a lot of people a lot of money when he was in office. I mean, let's face it, the national debt doubled. The national debt went up, which was $10 trillion. And that's what's on the books in 8 years. It took us 50 years to have a $10 trillion debt. When George W. Bush left the White House in 2008, we had a $10 trillion debt. It took our nation almost 60 years to get a $10 trillion debt after World War II. It took Barack Obama 8 years to double the debt. So a lot of people got paid. A lot of people got jobs. A lot of people got positions that they're not going to try and give up. They're very comfortable in their position. And so what is Donald Trump going to do for them? Unfortunately, that's the way they look at him. He is a billionaire. He is a multi-billionaire. The reason the people, and it's the people that voted him into office, they voted him into office because he can't get bought. He doesn't have to negotiate with people. So that's very big. That's why the people voted for him. But the only bad part about it is this: he can't be bought. So if you can't be bought, you don't have to negotiate with people. And Washington, D.C., as we know, as an entity, is all about negotiations. It's all about you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And Donald Trump doesn't have to scratch anybody's back. He can make decisions on his own. The problem is, you need the Senate and the House to get your agenda that you promised America. Make America safe, bring back the American economy, build the wall, so on and so forth. Bring manufacturing back, keep companies here, tax companies that have moved overseas and want to sell goods back to the United States of America. To get those agendas pushed through, you need friends on both sides of the aisle. He has very few friends even in the Republican Party, at least more on the Democratic Party. So it is very, very, very important for him to make friends on both sides of the aisle, I believe. Very important. And I think he has to understand that he is not a CEO in a business. He is the president of the United States. And that's all about building coalitions and building friendships. It is a different job than buying up buildings for real estate. And if you don't like the contract, you just fire everybody. He has to make friends with people on the other side of the aisle. It's very important. I think that is a trait that he has to learn, because he has not had to do that his entire presidency. So I think that it's very important. But I think he's a smart guy, and I think that he'll figure it out. No doubt about it in my mind. I think he'll figure it out. He's a smart guy. But I think Joseph Lieberman would be a very interesting pick as FBI director. I want to talk about our economy for a second. I don't believe our economy is doing as good as people think. I think the valuations on a lot of corporations and a lot of companies here are overvalued, and I think it's very important that we bring back manufacturing to this country. I think it's very important that we build things in this country again. And I think it's very important that the United States of America uses its natural resources. I think that we have been energy dependent, especially oil, on too many other countries, especially the Middle East. It makes us vulnerable. It makes us vulnerable to terrorism, and it makes us look like we are hypocrites around the world. Because everybody says you want the oil from those countries. Is that why you're invading them? Are you really fighting ISIS and terrorist groups? Are you really there for the oil? The first question that came up, of course, when we were invading Iraq, and I think we had very good reasons to invade Iraq, to put Saddam Hussein out of office, especially when he invaded Kuwait. But the first question was, are you there for the oil? If the United States was energy independent, do you think that would have been the question? No, absolutely not. So I think it's important for our own national security, from the way we are looked around the world, to open up some of our reservoirs and use some of our own national resources. We have a lot of natural gas in this country, a lot of coal in this country, a lot of oil in this country. Why aren't we using our own national resources and stop being so energy dependent on other countries? I think it really is going to come back to haunt us one day. And I think that we need to start using our own natural resources. You know how many jobs that would also create if we opened up and dig and did a lot of things in this country for oil and for coal, clean coal, and for gas? How many thousands, tens of thousands of jobs that you would create? Why are we not doing that? There's somebody, and there are people in our government that are getting paid for these things not to happen. They're getting paid from the Saudi Arabian government. They're getting paid from Middle Eastern countries. We need to look into that. He talked about draining the swamp when he came into office. And to me, I don't care whether people get fired or not. I just want to get to the bottom of what's going on. We need to find out why these people are in office. Where is this money coming from? Why aren't we using our own national resources to produce jobs and to produce income for our own country? Why aren't we some of the leaders in selling natural coal, natural gas, oil? We have lots of oil here in this country. We're sitting on millions of barrels of reserve. Why aren't we opening up and using some of that? It would help our economy. It would help us as far as national security. We wouldn't be energy independent, and it would create tens of thousands of jobs that we so desperately need. Well-paying jobs in this country. So I think that's something that is very, very, very important. So I think that Donald Trump, I know that's something that he was looking into when he took office. I think that's one of the reasons he repealed a lot of Barack Obama's, the EPA emissions and a lot of things like that, because I think he wants to dig in this country and produce in this country. I think it's very important. I think it's also important for the United States to build a wall. I really do. I think it's very important that we build a physical wall in our northern and southern borders. I believe that when you look around the world and you see what's going on, it is a precursor to what could happen in the United States of America. When you look at the attacks that are happening in Germany, France, England, and all over the world, those are things that could happen in the United States of America. Those are things that could happen very easily. Really. We need to build that wall. We need to get things done. Why aren't we going to have a physical structure? I understand us having more guards. I understand us spending more money as far as that is concerned. But I think we actually need a physical structure on the southern border and on the northern border. I think that's very, very, very important. That's also a promise that he gave to the American people. And I could just see in 4 years the liberal Democrats use that against Donald Trump, saying, where's the wall? Where is one brick of the wall? And I thought Mexico was going to pay for it. I think it's very important that he gets a wall built. I think it's very important that at least construction of that wall begin before the next election in 4 years, because I think that's something that the liberals will use against him very much so. And I think it's very important that he's going to have to cut deals as far as tax reform is concerned, and some kind of way get money for at least the beginnings of construction of the wall in the next fiscal situation, next fiscal vote that comes up. in the Congress. I think that's very important. He's going to have to cut deals with different people. So, of course, he wants tax breaks for businesses. He wants tax breaks for the middle class. But he also wants funding for some of his programs. And I think that's very important that he gets those things done. I think that's very important. So I think it's very important for the United States to get things done. Wow, bro. What's up, dude? Oh, yeah.
Baby. Where's Nathan? Did he leave?
I don't know how he leave. He's in the bathroom, no?
Oh my God.
What happened?
Where is he?
I don't know. He's in the bathroom.
He's gone. Oh.
He's in the